Hi, students. It's Dr. Madewell here, and we're going to continue talking about independent samples t-tests. Where we left off, we were talking about how we're comparing two groups, and we want to find that mean difference after we apply our treatment. When we calculate independent samples t-test, we want to follow these steps. We want to define our null and alternative hypotheses. What do we think is going to happen with our variables? This would be based on a peer-reviewed research article or two that we've located to help support our research ideas. We're going to decide on two groups of independent people. In this classroom, we're focused on this archive data set. So we might want to find two groups of people, maybe 25 people who experienced a natural disaster and 25 people who experienced their parents going to jail or a family member being in jail. Okay, we typically want to compare equal groups. Okay, have y'all ever been to a football game and you're on the visitor side and the home team has the band and the cheerleaders and the team and all their parents and local support, and you're on the visitor side and there's only like, say, 20 of you? Doesn't it feel like when you say yoo-hoo, your voice means less, right? Because if there's 500 people on one side and 20 on the other, what are the football players going to feel? They're going to maybe feel like nobody's backing them up, right? Well, similar things go on with psychology and our testing of variables. If we have 500 people who share their voice on this side group and only 20 on this group, whose voice is going to dominate? That bigger group, okay? So if we have 500 compared to 20, we want to randomly select 20 people from that big, massive group to compare 20 to 20, okay? We're going to calculate our test statistic using SPSS, make a decision, and write an APA results section. When looking at hypotheses for an independent samples t-test, we're interested in the mean difference between these two groups, okay? So we're going to write it up as mu1 minus mu2. Please write this slide on your handwritten notes. The hypotheses are written as H sub 0. That's our null. Do we want to accept or reject our null? Write that in your handwritten notes. Write it next to the null. When we write our null, we're going to say that the mean for group 1 minus the mean for group 2 is a big old goose egg. It means 0. There's no difference in their mean score. Do you want to go through years of research, identifying a drug that works for individuals, getting approval from everyone, testing individuals to find there's no difference? Oh, yeah, wouldn't that be awful? That could happen, but we don't really want that, right? So we want to reject our null, and we write up our alternative hypothesis as mu1 minus mu2 does not equal 0. This means it's a two-tailed test. We don't know if our group difference is going to be on the upper tail or the lower tail, but we just think there's a mean difference, okay? Make sure to write this up in your notes. When we talk about degrees of freedom, it's not as simple as it was in the beginning, where we just had degrees of freedom as n minus 1. Now we have n minus 1 for group A, n minus 1 for group B, and then a degrees of freedom total, where we're just going to add together degrees of freedom for our first group and our second group. Again, the importance of denotation on your notes, okay? So you'll have a degrees of freedom for your group 1, group 2, and total. Let's talk about an example. Let's say our research question is, does Thorazine affect thought disorder symptoms among patients diagnosed with schizophrenia? Maybe that's our research question. Let's look at it a little bit more involved. Does Thorazine affect thought disorder symptoms among patients diagnosed with schizophrenia in comparison to those who take the sugar pill? This question is written up a little bit more testably, right? Because we can see that they we're going to compare them to those taking the sugar pill. And we would write it up and we would say sample 1 is the control group, Sample 2 is the treatment group. Always make sure to add your denotation so you know how to interpret your results. Okay, that's a very, very important. Do y'all know what Thorazine is for? And maybe you don't. Let me share my screen with you. Thorazine is very important and has been used for a very long time. Let's see here. Okay. Thorazine has been utilized to help individuals diagnosed with schizophrenia I cannot find my Zoom screen. Hold on. Okay. Wow. That is not what I wanted to share with y'all. All right, let's watch. You can see here the term tardive dyskinesia. Tardive dyskinesia is a neurological condition that presents itself to individuals who have taken Thorazine. When you simply stop taking Thorazine, this doesn't seem to dissipate. So, as a researcher, do we want our participants presenting these symptoms? Let's stop and watch a little bit.
Notice this patient's blinking. Try not to be distracted by the other facial movements. Notice the blinking takes place during the finger tapping exercise. This is one of the activated movements. The 1-point score reduction used by some examiners is not recommended. This segment features a rather subtle lip movement. Notice the sucking in the lower lip. Obvious perioral movements. Notice the frequency, also the amplitude. That is to say, the size of the movements.
All right. I'm going to do a new share. Now, when we're viewing those movements, oftentimes they call it pill rolling. It looks like somebody has a pill and they're rolling their fingers. And sometimes they can do it while doing other tasks, but they also have quite exaggerated jaw movements. So if someone is doing that, think about how, if that's your future client and it's a side effect of a medicine that you prescribe to them, do you think they could maintain their job? Do you think that they could work with children or be in a facility near or around children? Or, would you think that, if my hand is in my lap, you could think I'm doing something maybe inappropriate? And especially maybe that could be, kind of against men more maybe than women based on societal perceptions. So we'd really want to maybe look into a new drug, right? A new medication that wouldn't have our clients, with such a negative neurological reaction. Okay. So let's see. That's the theory, right? Let's understanding. We really would like to minimize tardive dyskinesia. But statistically, let's get back to it. Okay. And I have 2 minutes before this video is going to end. We want to identify our critical region and have our calculation of our degrees of freedom. All of this is going to be done for you on SPSS, but I just want to show you this quickly so you can make sure to follow along in your book. If our mu1 minus mu2 is near 0, let's say our mu1 minus mu2 is 1.5. Maybe it'd be like right here. If it's right here at 1.5, then we would retain our null. If our mean difference is, say, 3.5 and it's over here, we could reject our null. If our mean is negative 1.5, we could reject our null and accept our alternative hypothesis. Many of you might ask me, where did I get this negative 2.71 and positive 2.71? It's from an appendix in the back of the book. We're not going to be utilizing for the homework or DAC 2 or the final exam. I just wanted to show you. It's in the book and you'll read about it. But let's move on, okay, to continue with this example. For calculating the test statistic, you would need your sample size of group 1, sample size of group 2, your mean for group 1, your mean for group 2, your sum of squares for group 1, and sum of squares for group 2. I do want you to go ahead and hand calculate this on your notes, just so you can have one time practicing it. Okay, so if we take 24 minus 19, and then we're going to calculate your pooled variance, okay? So you're going to take SS1, where is that? Right here, plus SS2, where is that? Right here, and divide by degrees of freedom for 1 plus degrees of freedom for 2, and then put that in here and here. Okay, go ahead and calculate this. Stop the video so you can follow along, and then hit play on the next. I'd like these calculations on your notes, okay? Now, if you get different values than I get, then I want you to email me. I'm out of time, so I've got to end the video, but I want you to email me and see if your values are different. Okay. Since our T obtained was 5.6, 5.26, and it was greater than the critical value that was in the back of our book of 2.71, we can reject the null, and we could say that our medicine did reduce thought disorder symptoms. We'll get back to it. Thank y'all very much. I hope that was fun in calculating, and email me if you have any questions. Thank you very much.